I need you to get in here. I need you to get in here quick. What's happening? I need you to get in here
Come
quick.
quick.
Hello. Which would you choose? Cruelty or kindness?
We're not gonna leave you.
That's the most amazing.
Um,
It's a difficult question. I can appreciate that.
I'm just observing more than anything.
Hmm.
It's a lot to take in.
I
Are
admire
they
that.
cracking?
That's good. You should look. You should watch for a little bit.
This is a common practice. The one on the right is common practice too at sanctuaries, but the one on the left is also common practice. More common than the one on the right. Significantly more common.
This I watched one time of the ISIS members hung the prisoners upside down and slit their necks open, and it was common to like a slaughterhouse. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Just like
That's
this, yeah.
really huge for like
What's more humane, to bolt gun them in the head and slash their throat, or just slash their throat, or don't do it?
I think humane if we're talking in terms of like I don't want to use the word exterminate, so it's fucked up, but like euthanizing them, I would say probably slitting their throat like pretty clearly.
yeah.
Swear I'm gonna make it right this time. It's like a radio turning way down low, telling me things I do not know. I know tonight you will be mine.
Yeah, but
Oh, like
It's
euthanizing
fucked
them
up.
if they are gonna die anyways. Like if
The,
they're dying, it would be nice to euthanize them. But if it's not the end of their life, then it's murder.
yeah, these pigs aren't even like a year old when they're killing them.
6
Okay.
months, I think. Yeah.
What
What
about
do you want
it?
me to do with that?
What about it?
But we want you to be vegan. We want you to choose kindness every time you
So-
eat, every time you go to the store.
Is
Yeah.
this vegan propaganda? Is that what's happening?
No, it's not
You- you-
propaganda at all. This is what really happens in the industry. It's just showing you what really happens. In the egg industry, all these male chicks are thrown live into blenders.
Right, propaganda might be like happy cows on milk cartons, that sort of thing. That might be considered propaganda.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, this would still be propaganda, even if it's the actual thing.
Sure,
I don't know.
technically. Yeah.
Yeah, technically, it's propaganda.
So,
So what answer are you looking for here? What reaction are you looking for specifically?
Well, ideally, we would choose kindness, right? Being compassionate toward other sentient beings.
Right.
But the thing is, most people do choose that. They say they would choose that, but their actions say otherwise.
Yeah. That is
So,
true.
like, what are you eating there right now? What are you eating?
hot Cheetos.
Okay, so you can get vegan hot Cheetos. Are those vegan hot Cheetos?
I'm poor, bitch.
Takis are vegan. You
Oh,
ever have
no.
Takis?
You're a bitch. Okay, you're a.
And by the way, I withdraw.
Okay.
It actually is not propaganda. You guys are right because it's not misleading. So it is. It's not
Woman got
propaganda.
quiet around.
Oh, okay.
Good me.
You guys ever have
Goodness
Takis? You like
gracious.
Takis? Those are vegan.
No, they're okay. I don't tip it. I won't go to my way.
No, I will sure will not.
Well, I fucking love Takis. I always have.
Hey, if you find something you love, stick with it, baby.
Teach their own.
Mhm.
Yeah, I find plenty of stuff that doesn't involve animal cruelty that I love. So I think even if there wasn't anything I was like ecstatic about, but I enjoyed some stuff relatively decently that didn't involve animal abuse. I think that
And that's a great choice to do.
I think
I'm not
that's-
going to do it.
no, you don't think that slight maybe reduction in quality of life is worth
Also, just
an animal not suffering, or
don't play the I'm poor card. Okay, you don't get to do that. The only reason that
Why?
those products are so cheap is because subsidized by tax dollars. Okay, do you get that? Like $38 billion alone is subsidized in the U.S. annually for these products. You know how much goes into plant farming? 20 million annually. Doesn't that seem weird?
It's also not cheap to have animal products. That bag of Cheetos is what, like $4? I mean, you could get so much beans and rice for that would last you much longer and be healthier for you anyway.
But let's not do
Yeah,
that,
but-
Joel. Like they could literally get vegan hot Cheetos. That exists. It's at the same store. No, it is.
I mean, if somebody can afford to buy hot Cheetos and eat them like that, they're not as poor as they would need to be to have an excuse to not be vegan because they're poor.
I know.
Another
I know.
reason why it's cheap is because they use such terrible methods and efficiency to make it go fast. So the cheaper the meat is, the more suffering was involved.
I'm just curious, like, is Omegle your only, like, outlet for this,
No.
or do y'all do this
No.
on other?
No, we
Do
do
it
it in real
everywhere.
life and stuff too.
We would
I'm
love
just curious why
suggestions.
Omegle works.
Yeah, where else do you think we
Should
could do
we?
this?
Yeah, should we be doing this somewhere else?
I mean, if you're looking to talk to people, this is the spot. But if you're looking to actually make people vegan, I wouldn't say this is the exact route.
People don't listen on Omegle.
They-
People
you
don't give a
would
fuck
go
on
some-
Omegle.
No,
Sometimes
no.
they do.
Yeah, we've got people to stop abusing animals here.
Have you?
How can you
Yeah.
verify that though?
They've joined our
Some
server.
have joined our server. Yeah.
Yeah, you
And yeah, if you use Discord, yeah.
Yeah, you guys on Discord? The address is up there on the top of our screen there if you want to check it out. You never use Discord?
No.
You're not gamers?
It's a fun. It's a fun place.
Super. Not really. I'm a console gamer. I'm sorry about it.
Oh. Well,
What are your opinions on hunting for population control to lessen car accidents?
actually, a better way to deal with that is to provide land bridges and land tunnels for the wildlife to cross safely. That has reduced roadkill in some areas by 75%. So,
Do we have this here?
I think we have it on like ISO before. Oh, shit.
yeah,
Probably.
those are really great for helping the animals without having to kill them and helping people be safer on the road at the same time. They are expensive.
Like smaller roads that aren't like multi-lane highways that you can't exactly, put a bridge over, but animals still cross and the speed limit is still pretty high.
Yeah.
Tunnels would be preferable, but the drawback to tunnels is that predators can hide in them and get prey easily that way. If you absolutely can't build something over it, which I find hard to believe because, we've built bridges that are a mile wide or a mile long, right? So it should be able to build a bridge over it. But if you absolutely can't, then you can at least try tunnels underneath.
Yeah, just like drainage tunnels and shit.
Oh, we be having cougars in them.
Yeah, don't go in the drainage tunnel.
I have gone in
So,
the drainage.
have you
tunnels.
guys ever thought about going vegan? Is that something you've ever
Have I thought
considered?
about it?
Yeah.
For my health particularly, no.
Because of your health, you said?
Yeah, I have some health issues,
You said not
so I
because of
just
his
don't
health.
think.
Right?
So I'm not sure exactly what health issues you have, but I know a lot of good friends of mine who.
We want to talk
Yeah,
to men. You're being rude as hell, lady.
No, no.
Sorry,
don't
are
do
you
that,
are you
don't do
talking? Did,
No,
did you just say
this-
you don't want to talk to women?
This
That
is
what
a
you said?
different. This is a different lady that you're talking to, not the angry one.
I gotta get there. Yeah.
that.
Am I allowed
More
to
than
speak?
one.
Can I get permission?
Yeah,
from
absolutely,
the
Kat.
men?
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. I am so grateful for the opportunity.
You're welcome, Kat.
So yeah, when it comes to I'm not even sure if I'm being listened to right now. Are you interested in hearing what I have to say or no?
If you're gonna be nice about it, yes, I will.
Okay, cool. So what I was going to say is I do know a lot of people who have had health conditions. As far as I know, there's not a single health condition that precludes you from being vegan. My ex-boyfriend was diabetic, and it actually improved quite a lot with him going vegan, and he's still vegan. He's not even dating me anymore. There's also a friend of mine who's gluten-free. I don't know if they had celiac or what, but she literally could not consume gluten, and then she went vegan, and then all of a sudden she was able to eat gluten again. I also know some people with like irritable bowel syndrome who went vegan, and they're doing fine. A lot of different people with a lot of different health conditions actually find that their conditions are not only not getting worse with going vegan, but they're actually improving along with their general health and like energy levels.
Because you are being nice to share with you, I have a history of anorexia, and restricting any type of food it's just not right for me.
Understandable, yeah. And I definitely wouldn't try to convince you to like make any changes to your diet that would be really unhealthy for you. But like I think the difference. Sorry.
Right, like if like I understand, like
being vegan is being against diet culture. Diet culture leads to eating disorders, right? So the word vegan comes from the word vegetarian. People were obsessed with diet culture for how long? So what they did was they shortened the word vegetarian to vegan to encompass morals and ethics. Veganism is not a diet.
Okay, I don't know anything about the veracity of that statement, but I'll take their word for it. But
what do you mean? What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know anything about that. But
well, you should know. You should know that.
Okay,
it's a good point. Thank you.
So anyway, it sounded like you were saying something. Never mind.
Which one?
Humans on the screen.
Yeah. So anyway, when it comes to like eating disorders and veganism, I know that is a really like tough balance. And sometimes people do like use eating disorder or use veganism as like a cover sometimes for like eating disorders. I know some people who were like, oh, I'm going vegetarian, but they were really just using it to restrict their food. And so I definitely understand that like there is this association with that. But I guess like where I see it as kind of different is that it's more of like it's more of a moral choice than it is a choice about restricting your eating. So although you can fall into some habits, it isn't really about that aspect of control or like worrying about your health, because like it is inherently like better for you, and as long as you're getting all of the nutrients that you need, which you should be doing with any sort of like meal plan or diet anyway, it's really like not any worse than whatever you're probably already eating. I eat a lot of junk food. I eat a lot of foods that I was like afraid to eat before, but I just eat vegan versions of them. Are there any foods that you feel really comfortable eating that like maybe we could help you brainstorm like a vegan version of that you could make or that you could buy?
I'm a little like, if it's only like a moral thing, that's where I like am kind of confused. If it's only like, because even if you're eating like an all vegan diet, there are still like underpaid factory workers and field workers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Where do you think they have the most underpaid field workers, or people shoveling shit, or people who are working, undocumented immigrants who are working in order to like forcefully impregnate cows?
Those people are my priority before.
They are my priority as well. And I think that the great part is all of those factory workers that exist to make vegan food. Well, first of all, if the food's already vegan, you can generally figure that the consumers are going to be more concerned about human welfare in that as well. But also stuff like soybeans, all of the production of those crops, it's not going to like go up if people start eating vegan. It's actually going to need to go down. We have enough food right now in order to feed between 8 and 10 billion people, according to like global experts. And the reason why we're not feeding that, one of the reasons why we're not feeding, well, it's access. And there's a lot of issues, but part of it is the fact that most of the soybeans, most of the food that is produced ends up going to feed livestock, right? And there's energy loss in animals just being alive, just as there's energy loss in us just being alive, right? It's just the way biology works. It's called like trophic levels, if you're curious. But so the fact is that we are wasting so much water, we're emitting so much carbon dioxide and methane. Just having all of these cows around, pooping and farting, like
breeding grounds for diseases as well.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's how a lot of like pandemics have started, not necessarily COVID, but like a lot of bird flu epidemics. You ever heard of mad cow disease?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, yeah. So all of these are caused. A lot of it is caused by a lot of individuals in the same place. All coughing on each other and existing in literally shit conditions. Chickens will get ammonia burns. Oh, anyway, to address what you were saying though about if it's just a moral thing. So I think that I'm not exactly sure what you meant by that, but I think that it should be enough for it to be a moral thing. Could you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
Sorry, let me just explain that a little bit more.
Okay, that'd be great.
Like, with the way that the world is right now with gun control, LGBT rights,
yeah,
a whole bunch of shit, animals are nowhere near my first priority in morality right now.
Yeah, no, I got you. And a lot of, I don't know if Doc Bitch is here.
It's just like, with the past history of eating disorders, and that personally, for my minority, I will not be vegan, and it is not a priority for me.
Okay, well, I mean, that's, I mean, although I think that, we can definitely work on more than one issue at a time.
They didn't do anything to you. I understand humans are horrible. Like, if anybody's an invasive species, humans are, right? But these other species have done nothing to you. Why do they deserve that?
Well, I guess...
I'm not saying I do it because they deserve it. I'm saying because it's something that I cannot control. I obviously have to eat food, and I'm poor. I'm busy to do shit. I work 2 fucking jobs.
Yeah.
I do not, quite frankly, have more the money, and I don't have the mental.
You're gonna have to stop justifying this to yourself. You're gonna have to go through the feelings of shame and guilt if you're actually gonna be vegan.
Can you let them speak out, what they're saying, please? I'm talking about you on the screen, Omegle person.
Yeah, okay, bonk.
Okay. Anyways, so I understand that, it seems sometimes overwhelming that there's a lot of issues going on, but I think it's really inspiring that for the first time in our lives, stuff like gun control, trans rights, LGBT rights, all of these things are things that are concerning. But I think that, we should continue to do what we can to help with that. One of the easiest ways to have a significant and meaningful impact on the oppression of living creatures is by not eating their dead bodies. It's so easy not to pay for their dead bodies. And when it comes to cost, it's actually a lot of the time cheaper to be vegan. There was studies from the government saying a diet including olive oil, which is a really expensive part of low income diets, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a boring ass study, but basically eating a vegan diet is cheaper in general than eating a non-vegan diet. So you can eat beans and rice all fucking day. And most of the poorest people that I know are shit, I'm mostly vegan already because I can't afford eating meat. So there's definitely options for you. There's lots of budget options available online, telling you how to eat vegan for really low cost. And it's honestly I save so much fucking money. Another thing is you don't have to a lot of the time going out to eat, you're gonna be, you can go out to eat, and eat vegan food. Taco Bell has vegan shit, Subway has vegan shit, McDonald's doesn't have vegan shit, but a lot of the fact that you're cut down on the restaurants that you will want to go to means that you do end up eating at your own place a lot more, and it is encouraging to make new foods. I got into cooking after I went vegan, and it's been a really positive thing in my life. But I don't know. So I understand that you have an eating disorder, or maybe you struggled with that in the past. But I just want you to maybe when you have the option, consider getting a vegan product instead. Consider just getting a meal. Oh my god, I hate the fucking chicks being suffocated to death. They're alive. They didn't do anything.
You always have that option, by the way. You always have that option.
Yeah.
Morally, it would feel, for me, it would feel arrogant to pick up a bag of vegan chips and say, oh, this is going to help the chicks that are being suffocated. My singular purchase. And even though there is a large group of vegans, it is a large population of people. It doesn't completely stop. This is a corporate.
Well, yeah. But
so it's not even.
Yeah,
it's not even. Sorry, it's not even just that you're actively helping, right? The chicks by picking up the vegan bag of chips. It's also that you're not actively contributing to like their harm, and that you're choosing to consume things that don't like cause the kinds of things that you're seeing on the left of the screen right now, that don't like cause these animals to be put in those positions. Just as like a little bit of a side point, like as a person who's also experienced eating disorders in the past, I actually find that the simple cooking styles of like eating vegan has helped me a lot in keeping like a consistent diet that has like the nutrients that I need, and like the high level of calories that I need, while also not feeling like I'm overeating. So for me personally, I have found that that's been really helpful. Although I've also like consulted nutritionists in the past who have helped me with like diet plans. So I prior to where I am now, I have been privileged enough to do that. Now I'm fairly poor and I'm just kind of living off of my memory of all that stuff. But yeah, I do find that going vegan can help with eating disorders just by having access to food that typically lasts longer, doesn't involve like cruelty, so it's not something that's like on your mind, and also is nutritious and easy to flavor. Stuff like seitan or tofu or like lentils are some of my favorite. Do you have safe foods or do you have like favorite meals?
Whatever on my mind, an animal product that the suffering that into it. And I feel like that's honestly kind of.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's just kind of weird to like. I don't know. It is something that you cannot control. I know that you may think that you can, and this small thing that you're doing
Why do you think
is
you
helping,
can't
but
control
having
it?
this much anxiety and stress about it.
Wait, it's not
is
stressful at
no.
all. Hold on a second. I think it's more stressful to know that the animal on my plate has been murdered and probably lived a gruesome and painful life, suffering ammonia burns on the floor of a fucking chicken hatchery. I think that's the most anxiety-inducing thing for me, knowing you can eat food that's vegan, can't you?
Yeah, but not you can't expect everybody to go vegan.
Wait, no, but I'm just asking you. Like, are you capable of eating vegan food?
No.
No food you eat is vegan. Do you like rice? Do you eat rice?
Yeah, with like other shit with it, usually.
You eat rice? Okay, so we already have a major part of our diets probably shared, sweetheart. Like, it's not, most of the food you eat probably isn't made out of animal parts, right? It's the question of taking those things that you do eat that are dead bodies or animal secretions, and just switching them out with something else that is relatively comparable. And I know it sounds really hard and overwhelming, but it's honestly kind of like a rebirth in my book. Like, learning how to make vegan food was just a revolution, and kind of like realizing that I could enjoy cooking and I could do something that like made me happy and that was creative, and like knowing I wasn't causing the deaths of beautiful and intelligent and caring creatures. It's so liberating. I promise. It sounds hard when you're not doing it, but when you do it, it's so easy.
What about for like other cultures other than the US?
Yeah, so I mean, like, first of all, I'd ask you, why are you asking? Like, are you of another culture from the other than the US?
I'm just curious because like humans have eaten meat since the beginning of like, humans have always eaten meat. Humans have always preyed against animals for nutrients.
So I don't know if that's an argument. Oh, hold on a sec. Can I respond to that real quick?
I haven't finished talking, actually. Okay. And it's like, I'm just curious for like specifically like native cultures, like food is very sacred, like meat is very sacred, and I just don't understand how like that exactly, like obviously like a native person anybody can be vegan, but it's like when it has such huge cultural importance.
There's a vegan Native American restaurant in my city. I
think there's actually a vegan Native person on this call right now. Potentially,
that's what I'm saying is like, that's like, even though they're like, there's plenty of native vegans, there's plenty of
Sure.
vegans of every single culture,
Yeah.
but there's also lots of like cultural significance in meat.
Mhm.
For
So
many
I
cultures.
have something a little bit to say to that as well. There's a lot of practices that could have cultural significance that just because they have cultural significance, that doesn't make them right. Right? Like, do you know of the practices of like female genital mutilation in some parts of the world?
Oh yeah.
Like, do you think that that's okay just because it's cultural?
I think if not to children and willingly, that's fine.
Yeah. So the cultural practice itself is done to children when they aren't able to consent. So in that case, you think it's wrong, right?
Honestly, it's hard for me to tell because it's cultural.
Wait, what?
Sure. So just to make it, so we'll make it even more clear. What about something like slavery, where in the U.S., cultural practices like religion, or cultural practices like slavery were justified through religion? Do you think that because that religion was a part of culture, that makes slavery justified, and that people shouldn't have fought against it? I know this probably comes across as me trying to get you in a gotcha. I'm not. I'm actually just genuinely like curious about what you feel about that.
And here, it's like a yes and a no. It's like, God, I just lost my train of thought.
So the question is, slavery okay just because it's a cultural practice?
Oh, okay, no, sorry. It's like, if I'm not a part of that culture, I'm not going to say what is okay.
Okay,
and what
so you
isn't.
think slavery might be okay because it's a cultural practice. Is that what you're saying right now? This is not a good look.
Not that
For somebody
is
who
that
cares about
because-
civil rights.
No, the culture that I have grown up with, that like obviously, you know what I mean.
Wait,
the
are
culture
you
that, like,
are you queer?
me, I'm
Are
not
you
going
on
to go into
the-
that because honestly, I really don't feel safe talking to you guys about that. So
I'm
I
literally
don't really
trans.
I really don't care. I do not feel like that's a good place to go in with you guys. But
Sure.
like culturally, that's like honestly the way that I feel with the dog meat trade. And like cats as well.
Let's
It's a
do
part of
something
the
we
girl-
both agree is wrong, right?
That is the same thing. I love my cats and dogs. If other people want to eat them, they want to eat them.
Wait,
Well, that's
okay.
why I'm trying to go into like practices like slavery or female genital mutilation, things that like generally I think are pretty easy to say like, yes, this is wrong too. I guess you're not interested in talking about the queer thing, but what about practices of slavery that exist even today, or like indentured servitude where they don't have the ability to get out of it? Do you think that like those kinds of practices are justified?
Today it's completely wrong. But like there is cultural significance of bad things. Like just because it's bad doesn't mean there's no historical cultural significance to
That
it.
doesn't justify doing it regardless of the time period you're in. You'd agree with
I'm
that?
Correct.
I'm saying you can't ignore one, you know.
We're not ignoring anything about the fact that we're all fully aware that veganism is not the norm in this country. You know, right now, you know, it's probably somewhere under like between like 1% and 5% of the population is like vegan or mostly plant-based. But that doesn't mean that we don't think it's right. And I think that maybe you are starting to see like maybe this is a good choice. But do you think that one day maybe veganism will be the norm and we'll see eating animals as like a horrible thing, just like maybe we see slavery in the past?
Honestly, no. Because
you don't ever
cannot
think that
compare-
eating animals will be considered wrong.
I don't think slavery to the human history of consuming animal products is comparable at all.
Why not? We just did compare them. We just said like a thing that we previously didn't think was wrong is wrong because maybe we shouldn't do that to human beings because maybe they're conscious and sentient and capable of experiencing the world. And maybe animals are the same way and maybe we shouldn't exploit them either. I'm not really sure why this is such a confusing or difficult concept to grasp, but animals don't deserve to be abused. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't feel like they need to be fucking abused, but like
Yeah.
humans,
So
we have
do you understand
laws.
that eating
We have
meat
laws that
entails abuse?
and with that, like I couldn't if food didn't exist and I had to go kill another person and eat them,
That's
you
not the
can't do that because
situation.
we're fucking people. But animals, they can do that. Animals die, animals suffer
Wait,
in
I'm sorry.
nature.
Are you saying you'd go eat a? I'm not sure. Could you repeat that? Like,
What do you mean?
so what
The
I'm
whole
hearing
thing.
is something along the lines of, if you had to eat a human being, you would eat a human being, but you don't want to eat a human being. And if you had another option, you'd do that instead. So what I'm saying to you is, if I had to eat an animal, I would eat an animal, but I don't have to eat animals, and there are other options. And it sounds like the same might be applicable for you. And the question that I'm asking is, why not? Just like in the human eating scenario, why don't you just take the option that's less violent? Why don't you choose
Because I've given
kindness?
you like quite a few reasons why.
Wait, so all of the reasons have been clearly refuted.
It isn't a good like it isn't the choice for me, and why I'm not going to do it.
Okay, but do you think that you'll advocate for other people to go vegan, and maybe like next time you go to the store, choosing vegan products instead of like non-vegan products? You could do that.
I'm not going to advocate for veganism exactly, but I'm going to advocate for other animal rights things that I do feel I am aligned with.
Yeah, so that's like, I'm hearing
Like,
that, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to advocate for women's rights. I'm just going to advocate that like they can like drive cars. I don't think they need to like, I love black people. I don't advocate for racist things, but also slavery is okay. And I'm just gonna say, if you're a slave owner, that's okay. Get it, slay. Like
Oh
that's
my
what I'm
God.
hearing. It sounds fucking insane, dude. Like
that. Did you get that? Please tell me you got that.
Did who get that? I made the joke, homie.
I was laughing at it right now. Oh
Glad to hear
shit!
Y'all need to. Well, it's been such a good convo. I really appreciate you guys chatting with us. I'm curious what the guy on the bottom or on the left thinks.
What do you
Are
think?
you the guy on the
What do
left?
I think? I believe. Oh, she's here.
Go ahead and give your full opinion to these folks.
Well, I'm just
I have a
asking your opinion on
broad-
veganism.
My opinion on veganism. Okay, we'll get into it. So my personal opinion is, for me personally, I'll be honest with you, it's not as important to me, same as he said, as other issues to me.
Well, is it like, is
For
animal
example-
abuse important to you? Period.
Yes, of course, but I think in the grand scheme of things, to me personally, like if I'm going to go to the grocery store and if I'm choosing between going to get meat or an alternative,
like
that's
beans
not really
and
something
rice.
that crosses
A block of tofu.
That's what it is right now. Could that change in the future? I don't know. I can't say for sure. But as of right now and in the
Gotcha.
past, it's never been a huge thing to me. And I will say I have been extremely off-put by the idea of veganism due to Trauma with an X that heavily kind of pushed that thing. And that's not necessary. That could go with anything of if you have a bad relationship with someone or a bad relation with someone or anything that has really heavily pushed something onto you.
Yeah.
Or whatever that may be. Of course, you're not going to be very fond of the concept or the idea, but that's how it is to me personally with veganism because he was so, it was just a bad time. Just a bad time, and there's a negative association with that type of thing. So that's also something that I don't really pay much attention to for that reason as well.
So
it's just something that I don't typically pay much attention to. I'm not saying that it's right or that it's wrong. Is that something I should pay more attention to? Probably. Do I? Truthfully, no. That's what it is.
I got you. Well, I appreciate hearing your thoughts, and I'm sorry you had a bad experience with your ex, like maybe pushing veganism on you or whatever happened there. But so it sounds like maybe the ex thing specifically was something that you're like, understanding and acknowledging is maybe not an issue with veganism specifically, but more of an issue with like just associations, and maybe that's something that is worth working through, because I think like veganism honestly made my life so much better, and I probably wouldn't be alive today if it weren't for going vegan. I don't know.
I mean,
Everybody I ever know
true.
wishes they went vegan sooner. So I don't know. I give it some thought, and I really appreciate you guys having a chat with us tonight.
Hey, baby. No, come back.
Could you guys try to make your next meal vegan?
I don't have anything.
I want to go, and then I want to string up that goddamn deer and gut him like a goddamn.
All right. I think the
fish.
conversation's over. Thanks for the chat. Bye.
That